Hi everyone. I wanted to take a brief moment to talk about an upcoming assignment called Magic Treehouse Lesson. We have done a lot of work in this class this semester looking at social studies standards, enduring understandings, resources, English language arts, the Common Core, all sorts of things. So it's time, I think, to start playing with some of these ideas and seeing what does it look like when you try to blend social studies and language arts. So I've picked two stacks of books. Both are part of the Magic Treehouse series, third, fourth grade reading level, and they're really cute. They're historical fiction, right? And so in both stories, the brother and sister, Jack and Annie, are transported in time with their treehouse or via their treehouse, and go on this adventure. And both of the books have opportunities to integrate social studies and English language arts big time. So I think you're gonna have a lot of fun. Especially the one with Louis Armstrong, I kept coming up with ideas. Oh, I wish I could do this. I want to do that. I've been to New Orleans. I love this. So your mind's really going to get rolling. And I hope that's inspiring to you. That's kind of the fun about being a teacher. We get to come up with all these really fun ideas to make learning real, right? You're going to take one of those books and create one lesson plan. And I can already tell for me that would have been an issue just picking one. But hopefully because there's about 8 books in each stack, hopefully we get a whole mess of ideas from everybody. And we can produce a really cool class set, a class repository of Magic Treehouse lesson plans for you to use down the road, or at least maybe the lesson plans won't work just right for you, but there'll be tons of inspiration there. So here's what's going on. You will develop one lesson plan from the book that you picked, and the lesson should include language arts and social studies concepts. If you want to include more lesson plans, you're fine. That's acceptable, but don't get too carried away. And again, think of the past couple weeks. What have we been exploring? How can you apply those understandings to what you're working on in class? So your lesson plan should include, your assignment should include a lesson plan, handouts and worksheets, grading rubrics or some kind of assessment materials depending on what you assign, and if you can, a sample project depending on what your ideas are. We will look at in class some samples, but you'll want to include in your lesson plan, you would have objectives, standards, materials list, procedures, assessments, differentiation on both ends. And you can really just look at the SOE lesson plan template, which I know you've seen before. It's funny because over the years they haven't changed a ton. It's similar to the lesson plan I had back in college. So I've given you a link to that. When you do open this, it will open up a new Google document. Please make sure you save your own copy, so you go Files, Make a Copy before you type on this. Otherwise, we all share the same document. So you have some options. Either go File, Make a Copy, or File, Download as a Word document. Or you may even have an old SOE template from a previous course. So I'm assuming you've seen the SOE lesson plan template quite a few times. So some of this we won't necessarily fill out because you're not actually in a school district. We'll just do the best we can. And really it's the lesson implementation that we're most interested in. So these pieces down here should look very familiar to you, and we'll talk about them next week too. There's also a grading rubric, which you would find, the grading rubric can be found here. It's nothing more than the SOE grading rubric template. So we will next week look at what does an exceptional example look like to reassure you that you're on the right track. So now, if you want to pick a different book, you can. So if you go to the public library and you just fall in love with a particular title and it's historical fiction or nonfiction, you're welcome to use that instead. So you don't have to pick the Magic Treehouse books. I picked that because I already had a stack of them, and because honestly my daughter loves Magic Treehouse series, and thirdly because I saw so many areas of integration. It seemed really fun to play with both of these books. So once you pick your book, you're working individually, but don't be surprised if you bounce ideas off each other. That's what collaboration's all about. So feel free to talk about it. The only thing I ask is that you try not to pick an idea that you've already done before. You want to build your stash, your lesson plan stash, your folders, your Google folders, or wherever you keep your stuff, with as many ideas as possible. I distinctly remember my first teaching position. I got to teach the same book that I did during student teaching. I remember thinking, gosh, I had that. I had one thing planned. So the more ideas you can come up with, the better, right? And plus we're going to have copies of each other's stuff digitally. We get to learn from each other and stay collaborative partners for a long time. So after you pick the book, you need to decide what grade are you going to shoot for, probably third or fourth if you're sticking with Magic Treehouse. Then go look at the standards for that grade area, either grade band in social studies or themes, the national standards, or Common Core, you pick a specific grade. Pick a few from each. Remember, if you're going to pick a standard, you probably should have some way to assess that if they've actually met that standard. So I wouldn't pick 25 standards because you're going to have to show that you actually are assessing all of those standards. So go easy on yourself. Remember, this is just one lesson for the whole year. You're not trying to teach them every piece of English language arts writing, right? So go easy on yourself. Look at the standards, pick a few from each, and think about what do you want them to be able to know and do when this is all said and done, this lesson. And then what will be the evidence to demonstrate mastery. And then lastly, you get to design, okay? Start building that vehicle to get them from point A to point B, and that's the fun part. So as far as due dates, right now it's set for October 14th by class time, but if you want me to look at your stuff early, we'll be talking about it in class, and you can always share it with me on Google. I'll give you some feedback that way too. How you turn things in, you will upload a copy to our Google folder, and there's one clearly marked for you. Student lessons, make yourself a folder in here. You will create a new folder, give yourself a folder, and drop all your stuff in there. This allows all of us to have digital copies of each other's work. It's an awesome way to collaborate. So, a year from now, 6 months from now, if you need something and you can't remember, oh, who did that? Who did this stuff about Abe Lincoln? You can come to the search bar and simply type in Abe Lincoln, and those lesson plans will come up. So it's kind of a neat way to collaborate with each other down the road too. And you'll upload a copy to D2L, which there isn't an assignment there yet, but there will be. The only reason I have you do that is because I have to build a grade book there, so I need something in there to output a grade for you. So we are here now creating some really fun lesson plans, integrating social studies and language arts. And remember, this is a collaborative atmosphere. We are kind of in some type of sandbox together, navigating how to build awesome lessons that help kids reach standards and do it in a way that brings history to life. And that gives them a vehicle to express themselves in English language arts. So we'll talk more next week. I just wanted to touch base with you. And so what you can do is go pick up a book once you're ready from Mary Fisher in the School of Ed office. So Mary Fisher has 2 stacks of Magic Treehouse books for you to pick up. Just pick one of them, and you can read it. I think I read them in less than 2 hours each. So it's definitely not a time-consuming read. So stop in at SOE and pick up a book from Mary, or head to the public library and pick out your own selection. Email me with questions or tweet me. Just make sure you use the hashtag SOE4090. Thanks.